Mighty Viking Harald Hardrada, the last great Viking and most feared warrior of his time. Ellen Lloyd, AncientAges.com, Ragnar Lobrok, Ivar the Boneless, Bjorn Ironside, Erik the Red, Erik Bloodaxe, Haraldsson. We associate all those names with courageous and fearsome Viking warriors. But none of them can be compared to the greatest Viking warrior of all, King Harald Hardrada. Mighty King Harald Hardrada was the last great Viking and the most feared warrior of his world and time. Monument to Harald Sigurdsson at Harald Hardrådes Plass in Gamlebyen, Oslo, Norway. Relief by Lars Utne 1905. Harald Sigurdsson, Old Norse, Haraldr Sigurðarson, circa 1015–25 September 1066. Given the epithet Hardrada, Old Norse, Harai, modern Norwegian, Hardrade, roughly translated as stern counsel or hard the ruler in the sagas, was King of Norway as Harald III from 1046 to 1066. Image credit Wolfmann, CC by Soft 4.0. Viking Hardrada was an extraordinary man who lived an adventurous life. He fought in the deadliest battles and traveled to distant lands where he met exotic and powerful people. His courage and combat skills made him a military commander in the Varangian Guard and Kievan Rus. Hardrada spent all his life as a professional soldier, and his reputation preceded him. In the Icelandic sagas, Viking Hardrada is portrayed as a great hero, but behind all the ancient legends we find a very complex figure, a man who was charismatic, daring, and resourceful. Viking warrior Hardrada became a patron of poets and he was known as feeder of ravens. Harald Hardrada, a great Viking warrior, is born. The most comprehensive accounts of King Harald Hardrada's life can be found in the 13th century collections of sagas of the Norwegian kings, of which the most respected is the one known as Heimskringla, reliably attributed to the Icelandic historian, poet, and politician Snorri Sturluson (1179–1241). German churchman Adam of Bremen also documented some of King Hardrada's expeditions, but the cleric's writings are hostile in nature and far from objective. He does, however, confirm the great Viking's military skills and warlike reputation when he refers to Hardrada as the Thunderbolt of the North. Born as Harald Sigurdsson in Ringerike, Norway in 1015. He was the child of Astagud Brandsdatter and her second husband Sigurd Syr, a king of Ringerike and one of the wealthiest chieftains of Uplands, the lands and forest regions to the north of Oslo in Norway. After his death, he was given the title Hardrada, which means hard ruler. From her first marriage, Astagud Brandsdatter was also the mother of King Olaf Haraldsson of Norway, who was later to become Saint Olaf. Hardrada admired his half-brother, King Olaf, very much, and it could not have been easy to see him die in a battle. This particular event was of great significance to Hardrada's personal destiny and changed his life. Hardrada was loyal to his half-brother until the end. Harald Hardrada fought in the Battle of Stiklestad when he was 15 years. When Hardrada was 15 years, he engaged in his first battle under the command of his half-brother and hero King Olaf. Snorri Sturluson's Heimskringla describes what happened during the Battle of Stiklestad, and one can say this was the beginning of Viking Hardrada's military career. In 1028, there was a revolt and King Olaf lost the Norwegian throne to Canute the Great, England's Danish king, and ruler of one of the largest Nordic empires. King Olaf, who had been baptized, made his best to convert Norway to Christianity. He also revived and revised the law code of Harald Fairhair, the king who united Norway into one kingdom in 872 AD. He affirmed his influence in the North Atlantic colonies, most importantly, in the Jarldom of Orkney, and he prohibited plundering, but only within the country. There is no doubt, King Olaf made many crucial changes, but his days were numbered. Canute the Great had other plans. He wanted to reclaim the throne of Norway, and King Olaf was forced into exile. 2 years later, in 1030, King Olaf returned to Norway with a force of more than 1,400 strong, and he was joined by Hardråde and his group of 700 warriors. Together they engaged the army of Canute the Great, but the battle did not end well. King Olaf was killed and Hardråde was badly wounded and forced to flee. Though he was only 15 years at the time, he showed great combat skills during the battle. His appearance must have been striking to some. Snorri Sturluson described Harald Hardråde as physically larger than other men and stronger. He is said to have had light hair and beard, a long, upper beard mustache, and that one of his eyebrows was somewhat higher situated than the other. He also reportedly had big hands and feet and could measure 5 ells in height. Viking Hardråde joins Kievan Rus in the Varangian Guard in 1 year. Hardråde managed to cross the Baltic together with other survivors of Olaf's defeated army. After arriving in Russia, he visited his distant relative Yaroslav I, Grand Prince of Rus. Known as Yaroslav the Wise, the prince had helped King Olaf after the revolt, being in need of skilled warriors. He employed Viking Hardråde, who became captain of the forces of Prince Yaroslav of Kievan Rus. Hardråde fought many battles for Grand Prince Yaroslav the Wise. After spending some years in Prince Yaroslav's army, Hardråde left Kiev together with his warriors and traveled to Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. His goal was to join the impressive Varangian Guard that represented the elite heavy infantry regiment of the Roman Byzantine Empire from AD 988 AD to around 1404 AD. They were Vikings for hire, who successfully conquered territories across the empire. They fought in Crete, Italy, and in Asia Minor. These professional warriors were highly valued for their courage and loyalty. They had also high fighting skills and the ability to carry out commands efficiently and without unnecessary questions. Harald Hardråde joined the Varangian Guard. He was the best berserker who became the leader over all the Varangians. Berserkers, in Old Norse, berserker, were Icelandic Viking warriors who were feared by enemies and even their battle companions. As commander, he fought in places as far apart as the Mediterranean, Asia Minor, Sicily, and the Holy Land. He was a famous and respected military leader. Hardråde had now enough earnings to marry Yaroslav's daughter Princess Elisabetta, something he could not do earlier because he was too poor. Rich in combat experience and wealth, Hardråde returned to Scandinavia in 1046. He had carefully prepared his campaign of reclaiming the Norwegian throne. Canute the Great had died and Magnus I, also known as Magnus the Good, was now King of Norway. Hardråde reached an agreement to share the rule of Norway with Magnus I. When Magnus I died, Hardråde became the sole King of Norway.